Hello, hello. Welcome back to Wedding Wednesday. My name is Adriana, and today's episode, we are talking about a beauty treatment timeline from month 12 to all the way up until the wedding day. I'm also going to share with you some bridesmaid proposal ideas that are more unique than just a simple box, even though there's nothing wrong with a simple box. And of course, I'm going to share some crazy Reddit horror stories with you, all wedding related. Before we dive into our episode, I'm going to ask you to please subscribe, rate the podcast. It really does help our podcast grow. It also gives us insight into what we can do better. And so we would really appreciate if you took 2 minutes of your time to just go ahead and rate our podcast, leave a review, and subscribe to our episodes as well. With that, let's dive into our beauty breakdown timeline. Welcome to Wedding Wednesday, the podcast that's about to spill all the tea on what it's like to plan a wedding from the bride's perspective and all the details no one talks about. I'm creating the podcast I need to keep me sane and feeling less alone as I plan my own wedding. We're diving deep into the hilarious, messy, and sometimes crazy world of wedding planning and wedding horror stories. Get ready to laugh, cry, and maybe feel a little less alone in this wedding planning madness. All right, so I will give credit to the account I found this on because I found this on like an Instagram reel that I thought was so genius that I wanted to share. But it's really treatments that are broken down from month 12 all the way up until like the night before the wedding. Let's start 12 months out. So what are you doing 12 months before your wedding? That if you want to explore these things, the first thing is laser hair removal. I think it takes time for your body to, first of all, get rid of all the hair. You need like multiple sessions of laser hair removal. And after you finish your laser hair removal, you also need to probably like prep your skin or repair your skin or hydrate your skin or something along those lines, just to ensure that your skin and your legs like look super smooth and clean. Keep in mind that you're also not meant to do laser hair removal in the summertime. So you probably start 12 months out because it gives you the chance to do it in the wintertime. And then during the summertime, you can kind of take a break, exfoliate your legs, like get them looking all nice and smooth again, right up until your wedding. Next, about 6 to 7 months before the wedding, if you potentially have, fat somewhere like on your arms that you don't like so much, or on your back, maybe on your legs, wherever it is, you can actually get a non-surgical treatment called Cool Sculpt that basically freezes the fat and removes it from that body part. Now, I haven't really looked into this treatment, to be honest with you, but it sounds super cool. And it also probably requires a few sessions, which is also why you want to do it 6 to 7 months before. Your body probably also needs like some time to like recover and readjust to like post-treatment feelings, if you will. This is a really easy way to non-surgically get rid of any like fat you don't want to see on your body without having to go under the knife or getting liposuction or something like that. Again, I don't know too much about this treatment, so you have to go to your local med spa and ask more questions about this treatment, but it is a really cool treatment in theory. You just have to make sure you do your research and you're okay with, moving forward with the side effects if there are any and things like that. Also, I would urge you to consult your medical professional. If you're considering any of these treatments, even if they're non-surgical, it's always a good idea to get the perspective of a doctor here. 3 to 4 months before the wedding, you can do a treatment called skin tightening. It's something you do after Cool Sculpting. Potentially, I'm thinking that Cool Sculpting will freeze your fat. Let's just use the arm for reference. Let's say it freezes your arm fat and it gets rid of some of the arm fat. You probably are left with saggy skin where the fat used to be. And so you want to maybe tighten the skin around that area so that everything kind of snatches back together. And in order to do that, you would do a skin tightening treatment. Again, it says 3 to 4 months before the wedding. I would also ask your medical professional about this and also your local med spa about this before moving forward with any of these treatments, just to ensure you're fully educated before you move forward with these pretty big treatments. Some of these treatments sometimes have some crazy side effects, and you don't want that to impact your wedding. And honestly, the worst thing that would happen here would be that it would do the opposite effect of helping you achieve your dream goal visually of your body, and would like make the area worse somehow. So just make sure you know all the potential side effects and risks associated with these treatments before you move forward with them. But they are available for a reason, and I'm sure a lot of people see good success with them. So just something to keep in mind. About 6 to 4 months before the wedding, you can also start doing treatments like microneedling and Botox. If you've never done Botox before, I honestly would not do Botox before the wedding if you've never done it before, because this is just my perspective. Again, you speak to your medical professional about these things, but my perspective on this is if you've never done Botox before on your face, 1, you don't know who the injector is going to be. 2, you don't know how Botox will look on your face. 3, God forbid you don't like the way the Botox looks like. It takes months to get it to go away. And 4, in some instances, people get illnesses from Botox, not all the time, but a lot. Sometimes people end up getting sick from getting Botox, and you would not want to have to deal with some sickness in regards to Botox 6 months before your wedding. You're stressed enough as it is. This is not something you need to add to your list. So also, assuming you're getting married under 35 years old and you haven't had any kids, you probably don't need Botox yet, but consult your medical professional about it. And it's something that I would steer clear of until after the wedding if you've never done it before. If you've done it before and you know your injector really well, you love how it looks on your face, then by all means do it, but do it about 6 months before the wedding. You probably don't need it to be too close. It says here to do 6 months before the wedding and then a 6-week touch up before the wedding as well. Take that and do what you will with it. If you like filler, that's the next thing that you're going to be looking at doing about 6 to 8 weeks before the wedding. Some people like to do filler in their lips. So it's really good, again, to plump the lips. Some people do filler at the cheeks and stuff. But if you overdo it with filler, sometimes the face looks really puffy in the wrong kind of way. At least the good thing about filler is that you can dissolve it. I don't know if you can dissolve Botox. If there's any Botox experts or filler experts watching this podcast, would love your input in the comments if you can weigh in on this. But yeah, some people like to do filler in their lips just to plump the lips a little bit. Again, if you've never done it before, and you really, really want to test it out, I would test it out well before the wedding. So 6 months before for 1, or for 2, honestly, I would hold off until after the wedding, not to mess with anything on your face and regret doing anything before the wedding. So that's just food for thought. Next thing that you can start looking at about 3 to 4 weeks before the wedding is a spray tan trial. Why you want to do a spray tan trial? Well, a little bit like the Botox injector. Or let's say you always get your lashes done, your lash extensions done. You know your girl, you know what she can do for you. You know how her technique works on you. You like the end result when she does it. It's the same thing with the spray tan. So you need to find the proper spray tan artist, the proper salon, the price that works for you, the color shade that works for you well before the wedding. And a good time to start experimenting with that is about a month before, because then it has time to dissolve and you can go back and do it closer to the wedding. Honestly, I would even urge you to do this maybe 2 months before the wedding, because spray tan can take probably up to 3 weeks to completely come off if it's a bad spray tan. About 3 weeks before the wedding, you can get your hair color done so it looks super fresh and clean. This is, although very specific to every hair artist. So if you have somebody doing your hair for your wedding day, ask them what they advise if you need to do your color, in terms of timeline when they should get their color done. But 3 weeks is probably good. You want to do a facial, again, probably 2 weeks before the wedding, and make sure it's a facial you've done before that doesn't break you out. You don't want to be doing a facial you've never done before and you've never heard of the side effects of, and potentially has a bunch of downtime, because then it could really affect how your makeup looks on your wedding day and therefore affect your pictures and the entirety of the wedding. So facial about 2 weeks before the wedding, just ensure it's one you've done before. Next, which I really like this idea, is a B12 IV drip. This is great for vitamins, just to pump your immune system full of vitamins and minerals before the wedding to help you not get sick, honestly. When you're really stressed with a big life event like this, closer to the date, you end up, your immune system is like on overdrive with stress, which means it can't fight off any disease that comes your way. And what tends to happen, at least is what I've seen other couples kind of go through, is that they're so stressed for a month. They're like pushing through, getting everything finished and wrapped up for the wedding. The wedding comes, they're on a high. So they're like, A, stressed from all the planning, B, on a super big high, and then C, the next day after the wedding, they get to cool down and they just get hit bang right away with a really bad cold or flu or just some sickness, just because from their immune system being in overdrive for so long. So all this to say is that an IV drip full of minerals and vitamins can help with your immune system to fight off any of those diseases during that stressful period. And it's something that I actually really want to do. I just don't know of an IV drip service where I live. I live in Montreal. So if anybody knows of one, please put it in the comments below, because I really want to test this out. This is also something I would test out well before the wedding. Again, to ensure that whoever comes to my house, I know there's like services that come to your house, or whoever's place I go to, I like this, the process, their service and how it goes before the wedding, because I don't want to, again, experiment with anything too close to my wedding. But if you need to get an IV drip 2 to 4 weeks before is great. Teeth whitening. Teeth whitening is the next one. 2 weeks before the wedding, teeth whitening is good. This, though, is something I'm looking at 6 months before my wedding. I'm not going to do it 12 months out, but 6 months is when I'm going to be exploring the conversation with my dentist about whitening my teeth, to get my teeth kind of used to the process of that. At the dentist, they give you like a tray and they kind of like teach you how to do it. And then you're supposed to like touch it up, I think once a month after, to keep your teeth white. So that's why I'm starting it so early, so I can like get accustomed to the process of whitening my teeth at home through my dentist's process. But the final teeth whitening is probably good around 2 weeks before. If you're doing crest white strips, you could probably do that the day before. But again, speak to your dentist about it, because I don't know much about crest white strips. The next beauty treatment, 6 days, we're like 6 days out from the wedding at this point, okay? What are you doing in the week leading up to the wedding? So first thing you're doing on Monday is you're getting a wax. Again, get a wax from somebody that you've already gotten a wax from before. You know how it is. Some people get wicked ingrown hairs from waxing. It is not the time to experiment with waxing the first time, the week before your wedding. So if you've never done it before, don't do it. Just shave. But if you're used to waxing, 6 weeks before is amazing. About 3 to 5 days before, you can get your brows tinted and threaded and plucked. Gonna repeat the same thing. Make sure you go somewhere you've already been to before. You don't want somebody experimenting on your brows for the first time 3 days before your wedding, and then you end up with no brows at all come the wedding day. That would be a nightmare. Get your lash extensions refilled or a lash lift about 3 days before the wedding, and try and avoid wearing makeup during that time period, because it can help it can hinder the longevity of your lash extensions. I only know this because my sister's a lash tech, so I'll link her information below if you're in the West Island area in Montreal and you want to go see her. She is amazing, literally. I know she's my sister and I'm biased, but actually she's really good. And so that's her advice here, is to do 3 days before the big event. Next is nails. Probably, it says 2 to 3 days before the event. I like to get my nails done probably the day before the wedding, so they're really, really fresh. And if I'm going on my honeymoon right after, they can last. So go to your local nail salon, somewhere where you've been to before, or you can do your own. You can get your final spray tan 2 days before the wedding. You would wash your hair the night before. And as Vanessa said in a previous episode, she's a hair artist for a wedding specifically. She said, wash your hair the night before with no conditioner, because it weighs down your hair and it becomes harder to style your hair come the wedding day. So I'll link also her episode in the description box below, because she gave us so much great information about wedding hair and what you need to know. But wash your hair the night before, and then make sure you get 8 hours of sleep the night before and drink loads and loads of water so you wake up nice and plump and good to go. Something that's not added to this timeline that I'm going to be doing on the wedding day, if I have time, is I'm going to wake up and I'm going to do my morning routine like I always do. I'm planning on not deviating from my morning routine. And I'm going to be doing some skincare, of course, so my skin is hydrated. I'm going to be skipping the sunscreen, as our makeup artist in a previous episode mentioned. Nora, she's going to be my makeup artist. She said it's for the sunscreen to avoid the flashback. So I'm going to skip the sunscreen. And I'm going to do a little gua sha and lymphatic drainage on my face and my entire body to ensure that I drain all the fluids and I feel the least puffy possible the day of. In tandem with that, I'm planning on eating a low sodium meal the night before and no alcohol the night before too. Alcohol always makes me wake up puffy, so I'm going to steer clear of that. And it hinders my quality sleep, and I really want to feel super rested for my wedding day, obviously. So that's my beauty treatment timeline. If you are wanting to add any additional treatments to your timeline that you're curious as to when to add them, comment them below. I'll take a look at them, and I will hopefully have somebody on the podcast talk about skincare where I can ask them those questions in regards to your timeline. Let's talk about bridesmaid proposal ideas. So I was really bored when I asked my sister to be my maid of honor, and I did the classic box thing, but I filled it with a bunch of really cute things that I thought she would really like. I filled it with like a really cute bracelet. I had a monogrammed little travel bag in there. I had a little bottle of wine as well to share with her. And I think another item that is now escaping me, but that was her box, and it was really cute. We also had her and Antoine's best man over for dinner. So we handed them both the boxes. We had a dinner that they both liked. They both love sushi. So we got sushi for all four of us. We just made it a really cute evening out of it. And then we talked about wedding stuff too. So it was just a really cute proposal evening as a whole, as opposed to just giving a box. But needless to say, I did just end up giving her a box. Now, to do something a little different, these are a few things that I thought you could do to propose to your bridesmaids and maid of honor that would be outside the box, pun intended. So one thing that you can do is a one big gift. So let's say I spent, I don't know, the equivalent of $200, let's just say, on a proposal box and filling it with stuff. I could have taken that $200 and allocated it to one big gift. And then in the gift, you could put a cute little message asking the person to be your bridesmaid or your maid of honor. One big gift that you could do, for example, would be a piece of jewelry or a new handbag, or maybe even a piece of clothing. Depends on who your bridesmaid is and who your maid of honor is. But if taking the time to think about every single person in your bridal party and what kind of bigger gift they would like, makes it so personal and personalized, and really shows that the care and attention that you had towards your bridal party and asking them and ensuring that they would enjoy whatever they were going to be given. So that's one thing you can do for a bridesmaid proposal as an idea. The next thing you can do is a proposal style, literally a proposal style proposal. What do I mean by this? I mean, like, literally when you walk through the door and you see the proposal set up and it says like, will you marry me, in block letters, or it's just like a beautiful floral arrangement on the floor. You can literally like set the scene of an actual proposal and propose to all of your bridal party. How cute of an experience would that be? It would be so funny, a little romantic, and a really fun way to ask your bridal party to be part of your bridal party. It's totally unique. I don't see anybody doing this on social media anyway. So this is a fun one that you could take and run with. The next proposal thing that you can do is just take your best girlfriends or friends on a fun excursion day, like you can book a fun experience and at the end, like ask everybody to be part of your bridal party. You can basically treat them to like a really nice spa day, for example, or maybe a nice show. And then you can tell them, you can like organize a dinner associated with that event and ask them all formally at dinner and kind of tell them that you gathered them for this special day as their proposal. An experience is always fun. Not everything needs to be material. And it's still a really unique way to propose to your bridal party. The last bridesmaid proposal idea is a really fun one. You can literally pull up with a boombox to their houses and stand outside 90s sitcom style or 90s rom-com style, holding up the boombox at their window, waiting for them to come out from their house. This is such a cute way to propose to your bridal party. And it's really personalized and it's also really affordable, but it makes it for one heck of a memorable proposal that a lot of people are going to be talking about for years and years to come. I can probably guarantee that nobody's going to be talking about the cute little proposal box that you asked them with but they for sure will be speaking about you coming to their door with a boombox outside their door. So just a fun few bridesmaid proposal ideas for you. If you have any additional ones, feel free to write them in the comments below to share. I have some fun stories for you. Like always, the first one goes like this. The wife of the best man is a clingy nightmare. My future husband's best friend will be his best man, which is great. The problem is his wife. I wish I didn't have a problem with her, but she is very spoiled, entitled, and consistently makes it as such that she is the star of the show. If I liked her, this whole thing would be a lot easier, but unfortunately I don't. She's the type that can do whatever she wants, but if she is ever told no or people do whatever they want back, she throws a fit and cries and claims she's being bullied. She's older than me, by the way. At first, she thought she was going to be part of my bridal party, not because we are friends, but because she wants to match with her husband. I made it clear that was not happening. My bridal party will consist of close friends and family that are traveling from far away. I rarely get to see them, so naturally I want this to be special. But she is trying to insert herself into everything. From the bachelorette to the wedding rehearsal dinner, she insists on being involved. My fiancé has spoken to his friend about her many times. When it's just the two of them, his friend listens and agrees to the point he makes. But if she's there, his friend becomes spineless and agrees to everything his wife says. She is making me miserable. This is a vent post, but also I need advice for how to deal with her without making my entire wedding about her. This is a great question. How do you deal with somebody who's not even related to you? It's just like a friend, a fiance friend, who is like really kind of putting a damper on your wedding events? Let's read what some of the comments have to say. Here's what you do. You do exactly what you would do normally and make zero accommodations for her. You are the freaking bride. It's your day and you don't play. You will be very busy and you will not be able to talk to her. If she doesn't like her place as a guest, she can stay home. Someone else said, you are correct. The spineless one is responsible for cleaning up this mess and keeping the friendship alive, not you. Somebody else said, just silence her messages or block her. If she asks, say you didn't get them. Your phone must be broken, but you just don't have time to take it in because you have so much wedding prep to do. Somebody said, this is the phrase I wish I had learned a long time ago. No, that doesn't work for me. Then you just walk away. You can, of course, repeat it more than once when they start to whine, but this is such an empowering thing to do. There's so many ways to deal with people like this. And one of the ways is to just flat out not deal with them, like kind of like ignoring them. I do agree with most of the comments that are saying this is about the husband's problem, not really the bride's problem. Like the guy who's in the bridal party's problem, basically, not the couple who's getting married's problem. But sometimes it's easier said than done. Clearly, this girl is bothering the bride. And I think maybe the bride needs to do potentially a mindset shift within herself to just like almost ignore her completely. Easier said than done, of course. Here's another story. I stood at my partner's best friend's wedding and his wife made me wear a wig. This person needs advice. Coming to the internet because A, this is batshit insane story, and B, I have no idea how to move forward. Any and all advice is greatly appreciated. There's a bit of a backstory to cover, so apologies for the exposition. My partner, Joe, 24 male, and I, 24 female, have been together for 8 years and married for just under a month. Yay. Jay's best friend, Seth, 23 male, and I have known each other since before Joe and I met. About a year and a half after Joe and I started dating, Seth started dating Mia, 23 female, and the double dates commenced. I've never been a huge fan of Mia, since she's the type of person to eat 3/4 of her meal at a restaurant, then complain to the waitstaff until they comp the meal, among other things. In the summer of 2021, Seth bought a house for himself and Mia that needed a lot of work due to the prior flooding. My partner and I went there. Joe and Seth did some of the work on the plumbing and subfloor. A few other times, Joe went out there to help with other stuff, and by the end of 2021, Seth had the place renovated into a pretty nice house. He and Mia invited us and some of our friends from the friend group out there for a New Year's Eve party. They have a pretty nice dispatch garage/pole barn situation, so they got it set up with beer pong and speakers and stuff, meaning people were going back and forth from the pole barn to the house. At one point, it was just Seth and I in the house mixing drinks, and he confided in me that he wasn't entirely happy in his relationship. He talked about how Mia called him names, laughed at him, yelled at him, etc., and asked what he should do. I said that my partner would have said, "We have a spare bedroom if you need it." Every time we went out to Seth and Mia's house, Seth would find a way to confide these things in me. They gradually got worse too. She threw stuff at him, slammed doors so hard they'd break off their hinges, stuff like that. Every time I'd remind him we have a spare bedroom, but I couldn't outright tell him to leave her. It didn't feel like my place to make that call. Don't get me wrong, I definitely told him he deserved better, but I wanted him to connect the dots for himself. In October 2022, while at a Halloween party, Seth showed me a picture of the engagement ring he'd gotten. Whoa, if you're having doubts about your relationship, why are you buying a ring? Anyways, let's keep reading. I don't remember much of the conversation beyond him asking if his proposal plan sounded good. I told him yes, I congratulated him. I did all the things I thought a friend should do. A month later, there are beautiful photos all over Facebook announcing the engagement and announcing that the wedding date was set for October 2023. In February 2023, Mia asked me to stand as a bridesmaid in her wedding, and I genuinely was shocked. We didn't talk much, even at their house parties. My partner, of course, was asked to be the best man, and he instantly accepted. I didn't know what to say. They'd ask us in front of the rest of the wedding party and hadn't been expecting it at all, so I accepted too. It made me nervous thinking about it, but if that's what they wanted, then I was going to do my damn best to make this wedding work for them. Despite everything Seth had told me, it wasn't my place to cause a scene about it. In March, Mia asked me to make sure my hair was, quote, a normal color for their wedding. It's worth mentioning that at the time, my hair was a light lavenderish color, and I'm no stranger to impulsively dyeing my hair a vibrant color. I told her I'd, of course, make sure it was a normal color, but she'd have to tell me what color. In honesty, because my hair is always a different color, the request didn't bother me much beyond lamentating having to grow out whatever color she told me to go. Shit really started to hit the fan in August on the bachelorette weekend. To drive up was about 2 hours, and Mia spent most of it telling us about the latest wedding drama, that her parents had decided to take all of the money they'd been setting aside for a wedding venue and use it to refurbish their pole barn. Mia's parents were demanding that Mia and Seth work long hours pouring concrete, putting up walls, and retiling roofs so the wedding could be held there. Mia talked about how her mother had been especially rude and condescending about the whole thing, calling her an ungrateful bee when Mia talked about wanting the wedding to be somewhere else. I felt so bad for her, and I felt even worse when Mia's mother, along with 8 of their friends, crashed the bachelorette weekend. We were outnumbered in this Airbnb to the point that I had to sleep on the floor. There were 9 women, all 50 or older, impeding on Mia's bachelorette weekend in the drunk entire weekend, throwing up into the lake off the paddle boat they crammed all 9 of themselves onto kind of way. Jesus. Mia had been looking forward to one of those lazy river situations where you rent a bunch of inner tubes and coast down a river and all that. The morning of, though, these women decided it should be put to the vote whether they went, and the overall consensus was to skip the tubing that all of the bridesmaids had already paid for. I grabbed a few pre-rolls from my luggage, took Mia by the arm, and sat out on the front porch with her. We shot the shit about everything, not just the awful turnout of the bachelorette party, but everything else. I felt like we really connected out there, talking about our partners and their friendship, and what it would be like when we had kids and they'd have an extra aunt and uncle. For a long time, I thought Seth and Mia would be good godparents to my husband and my kids. How? Okay, you know for a fact that Seth has already had doubts before even the engagement. But anyways, I digress. A month before the wedding, Mia called, quote, an emergency bridal party meeting at their house. Per usual, my partner and I were the first ones there. Once the rest of the bridal party got there, we talked about the schedule of the day and how the bridal party would make entrances to the venue. At one point, Mia, who was quite drunk by then, pulled me aside and reminded me about the hair color. My hair at the time was split dyed red and pink. I asked her what color she wanted me to go, and she said copper would look so good on you. About a week and a half before the wedding, I went out and got a brownish copper hair dye and did the job. Since I colored my hair pretty frequently, it wasn't the healthiest, and I tried my best to do hair masks and stuff to make sure it wasn't too brittle for styling on the day of the wedding. Then, a week before the wedding, my partner proposed to me. I, of course, posted pictures all over Facebook, and my hair in the pictures were copper. The Tuesday before the wedding, Mia texted me and asked if the color of my hair in those photos was how it would be for her wedding day. I said yes and reminded her that I'd ask her what color to do, and she had told me copper. She denied ever telling me that, and that she would never have suggested copper since my dress was a cinnamon color. She told me to send her a picture of myself wearing the dress so she could see if the colors clashed too badly. Before I could even send a photo of myself in the dress, she told me to just dye my hair an actual normal color. This turned into a massive back and forth of me telling her that I didn't have the money or time to go out and get my hair redone, and I was afraid if I dyed my hair again so soon it'd break off and be even more awful. I offered to step out of frame for her pictures. I offered to have my hair up so it wasn't touching the dress. I offered to suggest to her photographer that they color correct my hair. Her mind was made up, though. She told me she'd have me wear a wig for the entire day. I told her I certainly couldn't afford a high-quality wig, and she told me she'd pay for it. The entire bridal party had gotten a text from Seth and Mia requesting all of us to be at the venue about an hour and 45-minute drive at noon the Friday before the wedding to help do final touches before the rehearsal dinner at 5. Of the entire bridal party, my partner and I were the only ones who showed up at noon. Everyone else didn't show up until 5 or later. We went up to Seth to greet him, and the first thing he said to us was, "Is it too late to call it all off?" And in proper supportive friend fashion, we told him no, reminded him of our spare bedroom. I'd had a nightmare the night before of the maid of honor beating the shit out of me when she saw my hair. So when she finally showed up around 5:30 and came right up to me, I nearly pissed myself. She held out her hand and pointed to her ring finger. It dawned on me that I had indeed gotten engaged a few days prior. Easy to forget, given all the stuff going on. And I held out my hand so she could see the ring. She gushed about how beautiful it was, and she told me she needed to talk to me outside after the rehearsal. Fair enough, I confided in her when we stepped outside that I was terrified she wanted to beat me up, and she told me the whole story of the text. How she had told Mia not to send them and to let her handle it. How her work friends had read all the screenshots Mia sent and thought she was taking things way too far. We talked for a long time, and at the end of it, she said she'd check with Mia on where the wig situation stood. Before the night ended, she pulled me aside again and confirmed that Mia wanted me to wear the wig the entire night and that she wouldn't settle for an updo or anything of the sort. The maid of honor then invited me to spend the night with the rest of the bridesmaids at Mia's house, which I politely declined. I was expected at the salon about an hour from my house the next morning at 8 a.m. and I arrived at 7:45 just to be safe. The rest of the bridesmaids, along with the bride, all showed up shortly thereafter. The salon is owned by one of M's mom's cousins, who also happened to be the bachelorette weekend. She got me in a chair before I had even set my bag down, and by 8 a.m., I had the most hideous wig slapped onto my head. She didn't even style it, didn't even bobby pin it down. It took 10 minutes max. The other bridesmaids got their hair styled in super cute curls and waterfall braids, and I sat there with an unstyled, unflattering wig on my head that wasn't even properly covering my hairline. We got our makeup done at the salon too, by a different lady. When I sat down in the chair, she asked me if I was okay, because nobody was speaking to me. I asked her if the makeup was waterproof or anything, and she told me to just try my best not to cry. She ended up doing my makeup pretty quickly too, and in all, I spent maybe a half an hour in the salon chair. The other bridesmaids had way more time for hair and makeup, and between the way the wig looked and the fact that none of them would even look at me, I excused myself to go to my car. I called Joe, who was riding with the groomsmen I was going to take a walk down the aisle with. I tipped my head down so the tears wouldn't leave tracks in my foundation. I cried that I wanted to go home and that I couldn't keep doing this. I told him how I felt, like I was back in middle school and high school being bullied, all because I did what the bride told me to do. After the ceremony, Al, the groomsman I walked with, caught me crying. We were all supposed to be taking photos, and I couldn't stop thinking about how these people were supposed to be the godparents to our future kids, and they couldn't even stand to have me in the photos without a wig on my head. I went into the house and came out with one of those little pocket-sized shooters of pink Whitney for me. After dinner, I slipped out to go to the bathroom. My mom told me to take the wig off and get a ride home, and that it wasn't worth it. Shortly after, the dancing really got going and the sun had fully set. Al started asking me if it hurt if he yanked the wig off. I told him they hadn't even bothered to pin the damn thing down. I told him not to because I didn't want to face the wrath of Mia. In the days following the wedding, Mia started sharing photos on Facebook, but none of them had me in them. I couldn't tell if I was more relieved to not have to see the palpable misery on my face, or furious that she had me put on a wig just to exclude my face from all the posts anyway. I fell into this horrible despair. I thought I'd be relieved to be done, but instead I was left with this gaping feeling. 2 weeks after Seth and Mia's wedding, we were hosting a Halloween party as a gift to the newlyweds, and partly because they usually host Halloween and we wanted to give them a break. This couple is really nice with the bride and groom, but anyways. They said they would come, but the night before the party, they canceled on us. As frustrated as I was to be throwing this party for them only for them to cancel, I can't say I wasn't a little relieved. I didn't know how to talk to either of them after that day, and I didn't want to be forced to figure it out quietly. The beginning of November, a month and a half after the wedding, Joe sent Seth and Mia a message in a group chat without me in it. The message reiterated that they were always welcome at our house, but that we were both incredibly hurt by what went down with the wedding. Joe requested an apology for the hurt I was put through, especially after Mia told me to dye my hair copper, then tried to tell me she never would have said that. Mia responded that I was, quote, just mad because I didn't get what I wanted, and that we were, quote, asinine if we thought she'd see my ugly ass hair and do anything other than throw a wig on my head, and that, quote, wouldn't apologize for something she's not sorry for. The following day, Seth called Joe to apologize. Apparently, he told Mia not to send the messages. He told Joe that he thought I also owed Mia an apology for taking the wig off at all. During the phone call, Seth said something along the lines of being done with the friend group, that he only wanted to hang out with Joe over all of it. The friend group, who already didn't have the best impression of Mia even before all this went down, was unanimously fine with that decision. The day after Seth and Joe's call, Mia sent me a one-on-one message about how she would have dyed her hair whatever color I wanted for my wedding, because there are, quote, temporary colors and it'd fade eventually. She also accused me of not knowing her well enough to be saying what I was about her mother back during the bachelorette trip, and that I was being stuck up, and so on and so forth. I typed up a similar length response, and I'm proud to say I kept it civil. I reminded her that I did dye my hair the exact color she wanted, and that I refused to do it a second time in fear of frying my hair or making it look worse. It took 2 days for Mia to respond, and she replied with, quote, after processing, I feel like I owe you an apology. End of message. We expected to see them at Friendsgiving and tried to smooth things over in person, but Seth texted Joe literally an hour before they were supposed to arrive and said that Mia wanted to go look at Christmas lights in a city almost 2 hours away. Joe was faced with the impossible decision as we grew closer to planning our own wedding of whether Seth could be his best man. Ultimately, Seth made the decision for him by blocking me on Facebook and removing me from his contacts on everything. For a long time, that was it. Seth and Mia were stranger to us. We didn't even invite them to our wedding. The reason I hash this all out now, though, is that I'm left with an impossible situation. I need help. In March of this year, about 2 months before Joe and my wedding, Seth called Joe while Joe was at work and asked what had happened to them. Joe asked if he was joking, and then he realized Seth wasn't. He laid it all out. The wig, the non-apology, the name calling, all of it. Apparently, Seth and Mia don't have anyone to hang with anymore, mostly due to the way they treated me. Seth must have taken notes during this phone call or something, because a day or so later, Seth sent Joe a long apology for me. Apparently, Mia had written the apology that I needed over a year and a half ago, gave it to Seth, and Seth gave it to Joe. Joe had been looking for the right time to tell me about it. He said it sounds sort of legit, but he also admitted that it sounds like Seth had written it to himself. All of this is with intention of Seth and Joe hanging out together. I encouraged Joe to keep up with Seth. I just didn't want anything to do with him. The moment Mia had that wig put on my head, it's like she and Seth became strangers to me. So that's why I'm here. I haven't read the apology, and my partner said he wouldn't blame me if I never wanted to read it. Even typing this all out is reminding me of the kind of emotional turmoil they put me through over this. What's the play? Do I read the apology? No, I would not read the apology. Too little, too late. Protect your peace. And you do you. That's my thought. Would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you have any crazy wedding horror stories like this one, feel free to email it at hello@weddingwednesdaypod.com. There is an update, by the way, on this post that I will read in the next episode. With that, please rate, review, subscribe, do all the things, because it really does help our podcast grow. And I will see you in the next episode. Bye for now.